When Sudan's new cabinet took the ministerial oath 100 days ago, many hoped it would usher in a new era and end months of turmoil. Mass protests led to the fall of longtime President Omar al-Bashir, and now civilians were back in charge alongside the former ruling military junta.
What we've achieved in the first 3 months isn't much, and our people had high expectations. But in some issues, we've gone well. The peace process, which is a priority, is ongoing. It's not on us alone, but we've started on it seriously. We're moving well on the issue of democratic transformation. There is more freedom now, whether it's in terms of media freedom or political freedom.
The government pledged to put Sudan back on the international stage. Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok visited several countries, including South Sudan, where he hoped talks could help bring peace to many conflict-ridden parts of Sudan. He's also attempted to get Sudan removed off a U.S. list of countries sponsoring terrorism.
While the government has been focusing on the regional and international community to gain support, at home, challenges are piling up. It's yet to form a legislative assembly for the transitional period. And just in the last few weeks, there's been sporadic fuel shortages, a lack of public transport, and the economy is still in free fall. That's what triggered last year's protest that brought this government to power.
The economy is a concern for many. Inflation continues to rise in a country where more than half of the 40 million population live below the poverty line.
There's no improvement in the economy. Things are getting more and more expensive every day. The ministers haven't been focusing on the internal issue of the economy, which is hurting us citizens.
And those who once chanted for freedom, peace and justice feel the government's shortcomings lie elsewhere.
The government is yet to hold to account any member of the former regime. It's yet to deliver justice for those who have been killed during the demonstrations, not just on June 3rd when the military raided our sit-in in front of army headquarters, but since the protests started.
However, the transitional government has disbanded the former ruling party and seized its assets. It's also scrapped a law known as the Public Order Act, which human rights groups said targeted women and street vendors. Cabinet members were nominated by the Forces of Freedom and Change Coalition, which led the protest movement against Bashir. But some analysts say those chosen are not experienced enough.
When we look at the ministries individually, we'd realize that the performance so far has been quite weak because most of the ministers don't have experience. The health situation is worsening with several epidemics, the economy is still suffering, and the biggest challenge it's facing is the issue of the deep state, members of the former ruling party that are at every level in the government. They're trying to undo the work of a regime that has been in place for decades, and with little experience, that may take a long time.
After 30 years of Bashir's rule, Sudan is undergoing monumental change, and it appears many of the country's challenges will take time to be resolved. Hiba, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.